10 cents per serving. That is the price of the food Roman legionaries carried in leather pouches across 3 continents while building the most physically dominant military force in the ancient world. Not a supplement, not a protein formula, a simple brined bean that cost essentially nothing, that sustained men marching 20 miles daily under full armor for decades of continuous service, and that modern research has confirmed delivers a specific muscle-building mechanism that whey protein, at 40 times the cost, does not replicate and cannot address. And yet, no supplement company will ever dedicate a campaign to it. No fitness influencer with a sponsorship deal will explain its mechanism to you. No nutrition brand has any commercial incentive to tell you that a 10-cent food solves the specific biological problem that causes muscle loss after 50 more directly than the products generating billions in annual revenue from the men who have it. The food is Lupini beans, and the reason it outperforms whey protein for muscle maintenance in the aging body is not a matter of protein content alone. It is a matter of the specific amino acid that drives nitric oxide production in aging vascular tissue, and the degree to which blood flow to aging muscle determines whether the protein you eat actually reaches the muscle cells that need it or simply circulates and gets excreted. The story begins in the Roman legionary supply chain. Military historians, reconstructing the nutritional logistics of the Roman legion from archaeological site analysis, recovered supply records, and historical texts have documented a consistent pattern in the portable rations that sustained Roman military campaigns across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Grain in the form of hardtack provided the caloric foundation. Olive oil provided fat-soluble nutrition and caloric density. And Lupini beans, salted and brined for preservation, provided what historians initially categorized as a secondary protein source. The categorization was technically accurate, but it missed the mechanism that made Lupini beans specifically valuable in the context of sustained physical performance over years and decades of active service. Roman soldiers did not eat Lupini beans because they were the most protein-dense option available. They ate them because they were portable, shelf-stable under field conditions, and they produced a specific effect on physical endurance that was observable across generations of military experience, enough to make Lupini a standard ration item across the entire imperial period. The observation preceded the mechanism by 2,000 years. The mechanism is now documented with enough precision to explain what Roman military logistics had already established empirically. The mechanism is arginine-mediated nitric oxide production, and it is the mechanism that separates Lupini beans from every protein source that dominates the modern supplement conversation. Lupini beans contain arginine at concentrations of approximately 2 to 3 grams per 100 gram serving, placing them among the highest arginine density foods available in the human diet. Arginine is the primary substrate for nitric oxide synthase, the enzyme that produces nitric oxide in vascular endothelial cells. Nitric oxide is the molecular signal that causes arterial smooth muscle to relax, dilating blood vessels and increasing blood flow to peripheral tissues, including skeletal muscle. In a 25-year-old, this mechanism operates with sufficient baseline efficiency that arginine availability from a normal diet is generally adequate to meet the vascular demands of moderate physical activity. In a man over 50, arterial stiffness has increased, endothelial function has declined, and the nitric oxide production capacity of aging vascular tissue is meaningfully reduced from baseline. The practical consequence is that aging muscle receives less blood flow per unit of cardiovascular effort than young muscle, which means it receives fewer amino acids per meal, regardless of how much protein that meal contains. This is the mechanism that the supplement industry's primary products do not address. Whey protein provides amino acids. It does not improve the delivery system that transports those amino acids to the muscle cells that need them. A man over 50 who consumes $40 of whey protein per month while his vascular endothelial function is declining is supplying raw material to a delivery system that is operating below the efficiency it needs to put that material where it can be used. Lupini beans at 10 cents per serving provide both the amino acids and the arginine substrate that supports nitric oxide production and maintains the delivery system's efficiency. The Roman legionary who ate Lupini beans every day was supporting his vascular delivery mechanism without knowing what nitric oxide was, because the physical performance difference was observable without any biochemical vocabulary to explain it. The protein profile of Lupini beans adds a dimension that makes them particularly relevant for men over 50, whose anabolic resistance has increased the leucine threshold required to activate muscle protein synthesis. A 100-gram serving of Lupini beans provides approximately 26 grams of protein with a leucine content of approximately 2 grams, approaching the 2 to 2.5 gram leucine threshold that research has identified as necessary to activate mTOR in aging muscle. The fiber content of Lupini beans slows gastric emptying, which extends the window of amino acid release into the bloodstream compared to a fast-digesting protein source like whey. For aging muscle with reduced sensitivity to the anabolic signal, the duration of sustained amino acid availability above the leucine threshold matters as much as the peak concentration. A slow-release, high-arginine protein source addresses both the delivery mechanism and the sustained signaling duration that aging muscle requires, simultaneously at 10 cents per serving. The net carbohydrate content of Lupini beans is essentially zero after subtracting fiber from total carbohydrates, making them the rare food that provides high protein density with negligible glycemic impact. This matters specifically for men over 50 whose insulin sensitivity has declined as part of the metabolic shift associated with aging, because insulin sensitivity determines whether amino acids absorbed from dietary protein are driven into muscle cells for synthesis or remain in circulation. A man whose post-meal insulin response is driving fat storage rather than amino acid uptake into muscle is experiencing a failure of protein utilization that more protein will not correct. The low glycemic load of Lupini beans prevents the insulin spike that disrupts amino acid partitioning, while the arginine-derived nitric oxide supports the delivery that gets amino acids to muscle in the first place. Researchers at the University of Milan documented Lupini bean protein composition and its nutritional relevance for human tissue maintenance, confirming the arginine density and complete amino acid profile that the historical military record had established through 2,000 years of applied observation. The research confirmed what Roman logistics already knew. This food was doing something that other protein sources of equivalent cost did not do in the context of sustained physical performance under real-world conditions. The reason Lupini beans are absent from the modern performance nutrition conversation requires the same economic explanation that applies to every effective, unpatentable food compound that predates the commercial supplement era. Lupini beans are an agricultural commodity. Any producer can grow, brine, and sell them without any proprietary barrier, preventing a competitor from producing an identical product at the same price. The margins on 10-cent per serving legumes are insufficient to fund the advertising infrastructure, the athlete endorsement networks, the retail placement fees, and the editorial environments of fitness publications that constitute the distribution system for performance nutrition information. A supplement company cannot build a branded Lupini bean product that generates the revenue required to sustain the channels through which performance nutrition information reaches men over 50. So, the distribution infrastructure for Lupini bean information does not exist in the commercial fitness media ecosystem. And the men who most need what Lupini beans provide have never been told the mechanism exists. The pharmaceutical industry has spent decades and hundreds of millions of dollars developing drugs that improve endothelial function and increase nitric oxide availability in aging vascular tissue, specifically because the connection between vascular function and physical capacity in older men is one of the most clinically significant relationships in geriatric medicine. The amino acid substrate that drives endogenous nitric oxide production naturally in the body costs 10 cents per serving from a legume that the Roman military already knew was worth carrying across 3 continents. The practical protocol requires one preparation detail that the historical method already solved 2,000 years ago. Raw Lupini beans contain bitter alkaloids called quinolizidine alkaloids that are mildly toxic and require removal before consumption. The traditional preparation method that produces the brined Lupini beans sold in jars at Mediterranean grocery stores and online eliminates these alkaloids through extended soaking in fresh water with daily water changes over 5 to 7 days, followed by brining in salt water. That extended soaking and brining is how to make them safe to eat. Pre-prepared brined Lupini beans in jars require only rinsing under cold water to reduce sodium before consumption. Purchase jarred Lupini beans from any Mediterranean grocery store, Italian specialty supplier, or online retailer. Rinse under cold water for 30 seconds. A 100-gram serving, approximately 20 to 25 beans, provides the protein, arginine, and fiber content described. Eat this as a standalone snack, mixed into salads, or as a pre-training food consumed 45 to 60 minutes before physical activity to maximize the timing of nitric oxide-mediated vasodilation relative to the period of highest muscle blood flow demand. The cost at current retail pricing for jarred Lupini beans is between 75 cents and $1.20 per 100-gram serving, which rounds to approximately 10 cents per 20 grams of protein. Compare this to whey protein at $3 to $4 per equivalent protein serving. The mechanism comparison is not equal. Whey delivers amino acids, Lupini delivers amino acids, plus arginine that supports the vascular delivery of those amino acids, plus fiber that extends the duration of amino acid release above the anabolic threshold. The food that does more costs less. The food that does less costs more. The supplement industry is built on the second of those two facts. The Roman legionaries, who carried Lupini beans across Gaul and Germania and Britannia, were not nutritional scientists. They were men who had observed across generations of military service that this food sustained physical capacity under conditions of extreme, sustained exertion in ways that other foods of equivalent weight and cost did not. The mechanism that explains that observation has been characterized with enough precision in the past 30 years to make the observation retrospectively obvious. What has not changed between the Roman military and the present day is the food. What has changed is who controls the channel through which performance nutrition information reaches men who need it, and what those channels require economically to sustain themselves. The legume that Roman soldiers carried in leather pouches across the ancient world is sitting in a jar on a shelf at your nearest Mediterranean grocery store for less than $1. The arginine is still in it. The protein is still in it. The fiber that slows amino acid release is still in it. The mechanism that supports nitric oxide production in aging vascular endothelium is still documented in the research literature. And the men who are currently spending $40 a month on whey protein, while their vascular delivery efficiency continues to decline, have never been told that the Roman military logistics system already solved their problem at 10 cents per serving, 2,000 years before the supplement industry decided what they should buy instead. If you are the kind of man who makes decisions based on what the evidence and the historical record both point toward rather than what a supplement company's advertising budget determines, you should know. Tell me in the comments whether you have ever eaten Lupini beans and whether the training sessions that followed felt different from sessions on equivalent protein from other sources. The answers in that thread will document something the supplement industry's clinical trial infrastructure has never had a financial reason to investigate. Subscribe because the archive of what worked before the industry decided what you should buy is significantly larger than one legume, and every entry costs less than what replaced it.